Are you in bed, all tucked in, ready to listen? Okay, let's begin. Once upon a time there lived on the borders of a great forest a woodman and his wife, who had one little daughter, a sweet child, whom everyone loved. She was a joy of her father and mother's hearts. To please her, her mother made her a little scarlet cloak and hood. The child looked so pretty in that everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother sent her to visit her grandmother, a spirited elderly lady who lived in the heart of the wood, to take her some fresh butter and new laid eggs and a nice cake. Little Red Riding Hood was very pleased to be sent on this errand, for she liked to do kind things and always enjoyed visits from her grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood's mother wisely instructed her to be sure to stay on the path, for the forest can be dangerous for those who stray. The sun was shining brightly as Little Red Riding Hood set off on her journey, but it was pleasantly cool under the shade of the old trees. She sang with glee as she walked. She soon spied colorful butterflies flying playfully in the sun, and forgetting her mother's instruction, she skipped along behind them off the path into the forest. As she followed the butterflies, Little Red Riding Hood came across a bed of wildflowers and stopped to gather a bunch to take to her grandmother, who loved flowers. Little did she know that a wolf had seen her leave the path and was now watching and following her and making evil plans. The woodman was hungry and would have liked to eat Little Red Riding Hood right then and there, but he was also crafty and knew that the woodman and hunters might hear her screams. He came up to her very gently and said, "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood. Where are you going?" "To see my grandmother," said the child, "and take her present from mother of eggs and butter and cake." "Where does your grandmother live?" asked the wolf. "Quite in the middle of the woods," she replied. The wolf knew the house, and the plan took shape. "Good day, Red Riding Hood," he said, and the wolf ran off as fast as he could. The wolf ran quickly off to the grandmother's cottage, intending to eat the grandmother, then do the same to Little Red Riding Hood when she arrived. To his disappointment, when he arrived at the grandmother's cottage, he found it empty. Grandmother had gone off to market to buy a new broom. She had worn out the old one, keeping the cottage clean of forest dirt. The wolf dressed himself into grandmother's nightgown and cap and got into bed to await Little Red Riding Hood. Soon Little Red Riding Hood reached her grandmother's house and tapped at the door. "Come in," said the wolf, in a voice he hoped would sound like grandmother's. Red Riding Hood thought grandmother must have had a cold, she spoke so hoarsely, but she went in at once, and there lay her granny, as she thought, in bed. "If you please, Grandma, Mother sends you some butter and eggs," she said. "Come here, dear," said the wicked wolf. "Let me kiss you," and Red Riding Hood obeyed. But when Red Riding Hood saw the wolf, she felt frightened. The creature was dressed as her grandmother, but did not look quite the same. "Grandmama," she said, "what a great nose you have." "All the better to smell you with, my dear," said the wolf. "And Grandmama, what large ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear." "Oh, Grandmama, and what large eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf, showing his teeth, for he longed to eat the child up. "Oh, Grandmama, and what great teeth teeth you have," said Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you up with," growled the wolf. And jumping out of bed, he rushed at Little Red Riding Hood. Just at that moment, the door flew open and in rushed Grandmother, having just arrived back from the market to find the Little Red Riding Hood in dire danger. She whacked the wolf soundly on the snout with her new broom. The startled wolf ran about the cottage in panic, being smacked repeatedly by Grandmother's broom, until by luck he happened upon the door and rushed out. The wolf did not stop running until he reached the safety of his own grandmother's den at the far side of the forest. After a long while, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother were sure that the wolf was gone for good. Then they enjoyed a nice visit and a meal of eggs and cake. Grandmother walked Little Red Riding Hood home to make sure she was arrived safely. Her parents hugged her warmly on her safe return. The frightened wolf never bothered them again, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.